So I made a video not long ago about the settings I use on my camera for getting shots of the Blue Angels, air shows, and different kind of airplanes in general. What I didn't talk about in that video was the autofocus settings that I use on the camera. So let's make a quick video and talk about that so I can show you exactly how I set the camera up for it. It's kind of nice outside today, so let's go find a spot out here in the trees and show y'all some camera settings. So just in case if you haven't seen the video I posted about how I do my other camera settings for exposure and, getting the shot, an editable shot to use and put out there, I'm gonna link that one in the description. So you can check that one out and it'll kind of be a supplement to this, or this is more like a supplement to that. But anyways, let's get into it. I'm out here with the camera. I'm gonna show you exactly the button mapping I use for autofocus with the Canon R7, and it works for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Try it. If something doesn't feel right to you, try mapping things your own way to something that works better for you. This is just what works for me, so let's get into it. Just to get started, before I do a little walk around of the camera, to access these settings, all you do is hit menu, and you're gonna go over to this little icon next to the wrench, and it's gonna be the third menu, customize buttons. Hit OK. And then here is where you will set all of the mapping up for the different buttons you use. As you can see, I scroll through here. You can kind of get an idea of what I use, but I'm going to walk through each of the buttons on the back and the front of the camera and give you a rundown of how I have them set up. First thing we're going to talk about is the autofocus button. Do not use the half press shutter button for autofocus because I switched to back button focus, which is this button here is what I use. And once I did that, there's no going back. I've had a much higher hit rate on keepers. It's more comfortable to use. Once you get used to it, you'll never think about using the shutter button for your autofocus again. The joystick right here, this is to move your autofocus points around. If you ever get off center and you need to put it back, you just center press the button and it snaps right back. Out here, if you press up, it flips between the shooting modes, so you can have high speed, single shooting, high speed, continuous. These are the three I mostly use. This one I'll use for crossing maneuvers where the jets are going to hit where I need more burst. Any other thing, I'm usually keeping it on just regular high speed, and sometimes I'll use single shooting if it's something I know that I can get, in one or two shots and not need a whole burst to just blow out a memory card. It's not worth it. So that comes in handy. My left button here, that's going to switch between one shot autofocus and servo, because sometimes I don't want to use servo. Sometimes one shot will be more accurate and be a better choice for me. So it's right there at the touch of a button. Down, that's going to be changing my autofocus zones. So I can go from a small single point, a larger single point, and up through the different zones. Depending on what I'm shooting, these can all come in handy. And it's right there at the touch of a button. It's a beautiful thing. My right button here turns on eye detection, turns off eye detection. Comes in handy. Yeah, do I use eye detection a lot? Not really, because well, jets don't have eyes, so I don't use it that much. Moving around to the front of the camera, on the R7, we have this little button right here. And what I have this set to is a quick menu, which I can just press with my ring finger, and it brings this up, and I can change subject tracking. I can go through all the menu right here, metering modes. I can switch that pretty quick. I usually leave it on center weighted average. That's where I like to live with it. But yeah, all of your settings are right here at the touch of a ring finger, so I can literally just pull it up just like that, piece of cake. Now let's talk about tracking. So this button up here, my tracking is generally off, and I can just hit the button to autofocus, like you can see here. If I want to track, I just press this little multi-function button right here, and it's going to track whatever I'm locked onto. So I can move the camera around, and it's going to start tracking. If I ever want to stop, I just hit the multi-function button again, and we're back to single point focus. So really quick, I can be single point, up, I want to track, we're tracking, and we're back to single point. And that comes in really handy too, because there are some times where tracking, especially something that's moving erratic, can be kind of handy, and I will have a higher hit rate with it. That's pretty much it for autofocus. If I missed anything, which it's a high probability because when I start to do this, I forget half the stuff I want to talk about. Just let me know in the comments and I will try my best to correct it or add that information in and help you all out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Y'all take it easy.